how to think like an expert, decoding an expert's mind. So, I've told you a lot of my. Hello, everybody. How are you all? Hope you're doing great. So, welcome back to another session of learning English and improving your English speaking skills with me. This session is going to be really different and a lot beneficial for you because today I'm going to decode how to think like an English expert. How to think like an English expert means what goes inside the mind of an English expert. How do they process the language that they expertise in? So, are you all ready for this? I'm Shivangi Gupta, your CELTA-certified English language tutor, certified by the University of Cambridge, the UK. Before beginning, please subscribe the channel so that you can get all the English lessons that I post for you on this channel. Please like the video and share it with the friends too. Now, today's lesson, that is how to think like an English expert. Now, I'm going to tell you all about my experiences. I'm going to tell you a lot of my stories today because this is how you are going to decode what goes inside the mind of an English expert. Now, at the point where I am in my life right now, I have created an expertise in this language because I have professional background of it. What goes inside my mind? How do I think in English? How do I tackle English every day? What do I exactly do in English every day? I'm going to tell you a lot of things. I'm going to tell you a lot of experiences of mine so that you can understand how to think like an English expert. Now, I have done CELTA from the University of Cambridge, the UK. So I'm going to go a bit back and I'm going to talk about something that's very relevant. What goes inside the mind of an English expert? So the story begins, I think, from the love of literature that I had as a child. And later on, it manifested as the love for English language. And today, here I am sitting in front of you with a whole lot of professional background in this particular language, that is English. And not just as a language, but also as a teacher. I have professional certifications to teach this particular language. With a BA in English Honours, MA in English, I also have a B.Ed in English language teaching, and also I have done CELTA from the University of Cambridge, the UK, the most prestigious degree certificate that a person can get to teach English internationally to adults, people who are 18 and above. So this particular course focuses on teaching English to people who are professionals. That means when I took admission into this particular course, it was not to become an expert of the language, but to teach the language. That means you need to already have an expertise in the language if you want to get into the course, if you want to get selected for CELTA. So the first step is cleared right then and there. That means language in usage was there. I was at the C2 level of the language usage when I got into the CELTA. And CELTA made me more proficient, I would say, to teach, to follow my passion, to teach English, to spread these skills, to become a fluency master. Now, I'm loving my job a lot. And what goes inside the mind of an English expert, the first thing I would say is you need to have a curiosity inside yourself. That is what I would say. So I was too curious about trying things that I love and the new things. For example, my love for literature led me to interact with language a lot. I remember as a child, my mother used to bring a lot of storybooks for me. So those storybooks used to be in English language. And those storybooks helped me shape my mindset a lot because I was interacting with the language a lot. At that time, I was not consciously trying to learn English or I was consciously trying to interact with the language. No, I was just curious. I was just doing something that I love so much, interacting with the stories, reading about people, reading about different stories. And that is how I was also introduced to the Harry Potter novels at a very young age. And through those novels, I developed a liking for reading novels. Now, novels are pretty lengthy, you all know that. They are not short stories that are just 5 to 10 pages long, they are at least 150 pages long, the minimum, and they can go up to 400, 500 pages too. So one volume of a novel, and that led me to read a lot of novels. I remember everyone used to be excited during the school days for games period, the sports period, and I used to be equally excited for the library period too. When that library period used to come, everyone was like with a gloomy face. They used to roam around with gloomy face that we have to go sit down. And I used to be so happy that I remember once there was a particular book. I don't remember the name of the book exactly. It was one of the Annette Biltons. The writer is very famous for writing all those famous fives, the mystery novels, the literature that a person should read to be able to read something, And I was, I think, in grade 6 at that particular time, and my teacher knew that I'm looking for that particular novel, which was issued by somebody else. And she was so, I think she was such a nice person because she kept it for me. She did not reissue the novel to the same person, and she kept that particular novel for me because she used to see me every time when I used to go to the library, roaming around the fiction section, the novel section, searching through the books, reading the back cover for the review or the summary of the book, and selecting something. So she saw that something in me that, okay, she loves to read a lot, and let me keep this book for her. So that is the first thing I would say. First thing that led me to this particular thing that I'm doing today. I would say that that was the first step. And then that particular love for literature led me to do English honors. And when I did English honors, it was all too different. My experiencing of reading novels, that was completely changed because I was exposed to a lot of vocabulary, a lot of cultural references. English honors is just not about novels or just about not about reading. Actually, no, it's a lot more than that. It's like it's a combination of a lot of things. You are reading history, you are reading a lot of historical moments that have taken place through literature, you are reading a lot of background, what was going on culturally in the world when this particular thing was written. You're reading a lot of essays, a lot of letters that the authors used to write to each other. So it's just not about that one novel. No, with that one novel you read 50% of the background that is with that particular novel. For example, it's written in 1850. What was going on around that time? Later on, when industrialization happened, the bourgeoisie came into the play, and a lot of things. We read history, we read culture, we read philosophy through literature, and it is such a vast area. So from that particular thing, my love for language also began to blossom, and I was too curious to do what to do next, and then I thought that I'm gonna teach this particular thing. I'm gonna do that because I'm too passionate about it. And then I took my particular education later on in this particular field. So I was doing a lot of multitasking, and I remember that when I was doing my MA, at that particular time, I was also working with a few schools side by side, and I was like kind of, engaging with the students too. And during that particular time, I also went for some workshops. Those workshops led me to be more inspired to work in the field of fluency, speaking fluency, language as a skill and not as a subject that is taught inside an institution like a school. So at that particular time, I was there. I was attending a particular workshop which was as a part of professional development for a teacher. I was there. There were a lot of professionals, and I was giving a presentation. And we were sitting in a particular circle, and there was this tutor who was sitting here, and there was another person in the group who was sitting right closest to me, okay, right beside me on this particular side. And when I was done with the presentation, he suddenly looked at the tutor and said that she has a very high threshold. Now, the particular class was on speaking threshold. I've also discussed in my particular video that if you want to become fluent, you need to increase your speaking threshold. Now, what is threshold? Threshold is basically the amount of time for which you can speak in English. Everyone has a threshold when it comes to English as their second language. So, if you're learning English as a second language, as we all are doing it, English is the target language, right? So, you have a particular threshold. That means the amount of time for which you can speak in English, and after that amount of time expires, you resort back to native language, or you have to take a pause, you have to think about the things, you have to gather your thoughts. That threshold could be 10 lines, 20 lines, 50 lines for somebody. It could be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours for somebody. But once you get a native like fluency, let me tell you what happened, and I'm gonna continue talking about threshold after that. So, what happened was the tutor looked right back at him, and then he looked at me and he said that no, she does not have a very high threshold. She actually holds no threshold. That means she doesn't have a threshold at all. And everyone was like kind of limitless. He said, yes, limitless. That means there is no threshold at all. She can go hours and hours and hours and speak in English. She wouldn't be stopped. Nobody could stop her. She would speak. And she had reached that particular point in her skills that there is no threshold for her now. It's like native like fluency I've gained. And that was really a good moment. And that was the moment I think I realized that I should move forward. I should do something different. And I should look at it from a professional font where I would be teaching people how to gain fluency. And that led me to do CELTA. It inspired me to move forward in my profession. And that is one thing which is very important. If you are an English language expert, that means your threshold must be really great, that you are able to speak in English. You can speak in English for hours and hours, and you do not have to resort back to your native language. That means English would not feel like a burden, that you are doing something different. You're doing something that's not natural to you. Why do people resort back to their native language after some time when the threshold expires? Because they are trying to exert themselves while speaking English. And when the threshold expires, it's like they want to get back into their comfort zone, which is their native language. Now, if you can create a comfort zone in the English language itself, there is no need to go back to your native language, because you have created that comfort zone in the English language itself, and you are able to communicate, you're able to speak, you're able to do everything in the language for however much time you wish. You can go hours and hours or days and days. You can go on without talking in your native language. And that is when you gain that native like fluency. For me now, after all these years, English has become actually kind of my native language. I do not feel any kind of difference between my native language and English language. For me, it's like, yes, this is my language now. And it's like I have developed some kind of native kind of brain, you can say, in English language, because it comes very naturally to me. Now, when you want to increase your threshold, there is something else too. And I was doing my CELTA, I remembered that curiosity. Like I told you, that you need to foster that curiosity. I think I had a lot of curiosity, because when I was doing CELTA, I was not doing it in mind like it's a professional course. I need to do this after that. I need to do it. I need to do that. No, that was not the end goal. I was doing it to learn. I was doing it because I wanted to do it, because I was passionate about it. So I remember we had a class on pronunciation, not to learn pronunciation, but to teach pronunciation. So pronunciation is a very important aspect of any language. For example, a lot of you ask about my pronunciation and you want to know about my accent. So I use British accent. Actually, not accent exactly, pronunciation, RP. RP is received pronunciation, the modern RP. So the modern RP is the British form of pronunciation. When you go to American accent, the way things are pronounced are a bit different. And I follow the RP, British pronunciation, because my educational background, the whole background is from UK. You know, I've done my CELTA from Cambridge University, United Kingdoms. So that's why my background is of RP, received pronunciation. So I use that. I do not use a very heavy British accent because I stay true to my natural accent and I just use that received pronunciation. That is why I sound the way I sound. That is why it sounds so native like, yet it's understandable to almost everybody. A comment that I get a lot, that your pronunciation is so wonderful, it's so clear, and we are able to understand too. Because I use my natural accent with RP, received pronunciation, which is the British accent. So when you learn a language, a lot of times pronunciation is neglected and pronunciation plays a very important role. Now, what happened in that particular class was that we did a particular class for whole 9 hours, and the next day when we came back we were doing again a teaching practice kind of thing. We were engaged in a particular task, which obviously I can't reveal to all of you what was the task. We were working in groups, and there was one point in the whole practice teaching where we had to decode some symbols, pronunciation symbols, and we had to work with them. So basically what happened was I was able to do it quite quickly, and I was doing everything without even realizing it. I was doing it, and suddenly one of the my fellow colleagues, she said that she's doing it so quickly, like we were introduced to this particular technique just yesterday, and she's doing it because I was so curious about it, I was passionate about it, and that is something that was going on inside my mind. Even after the class, it was the only thing I was thinking about. So I think that is something you need to really pay attention to, that when you are doing something with your whole heart, you become an expert in that particular thing. I was exposed to this particular teaching technique by my teacher, by my tutor, and he said that teaching pronunciation is one of the most important responsibility of a language teacher. If you teach wrong pronunciation to somebody, it's on your conscience. You are teaching wrong pronunciation to a person, that means that's one of the biggest mistake that an English tutor can make. So this is something that's the most important aspect of teaching English, and I took it too seriously. And yeah, I did it. And I did it right then and there. And I'm so glad that I learned all of these things. And today I'm able to do it because this is my passion too. So pronunciation plays a very important role in your life. And mastering pronunciation makes you more fluent in English language. So the thing that goes inside my mind is the way I pronounce things. That is also something that I take care of a lot. And now it's so natural to me. I do not have to take care about the pronunciation all the time. No, I don't. I do not think about the pronunciation of a word before speaking it, because it's there, it's with me. I have practiced it numerous times because I have done a lot of hard work to become a teacher, a professional teacher, a professional tutor for this particular language, that is the English language. So I think one thing that you need to keep in mind is, with threshold, you need to also pay attention towards your pronunciation, the way you pronounce things. That's very important. And once you cover that, it's like a lot of good things would start happening. Now, another thing that I want to cover is what goes inside the mind of an English expert, how to think like an English expert. Another thing is that I don't deliberately think in English actually. It's like I do a lot of tasks in English. For example, even if I'm interacting with somebody in my native language, because sometimes I might have to do that. You might meet somebody who would want to try out a native language while talking. Unconsciously, I'd be using 60% of the English without even realizing. That happens a lot. A lot, like it happens all the time. That is something that's, I think, goes inside the mind of an English language expert. Another thing, how to think like an English language expert. Now, the thing is that when the term expert is associated with something, that means a lot of hard work goes inside it. You cannot just think that in an year, in 6 months, we can become expert. Expert means dedication. Expert means somebody who has put all the heart, the hard work, the dedication, everything, the time to do this particular thing. Like, I have done a lot of hard work, professional hard work, to achieve what I have today in my life. So a lot of hard work is needed. You cannot skip that part. You can't. There is no shortcut to fluency. There's no shortcut to anything in life. And that is something we must keep in mind, that there is no shortcut. That we have done something, we are going to copy it, and then we are going to copy paste some things and we'll become an expert. It doesn't happen that way. You need to put in your own work, a lot of work. So when I make a lesson for you, you're watching it. If you do not put yourself to work after watching the lesson, nothing will happen, because you yourself have to work a lot. I am giving you my expert advice. I'm giving you techniques that I've created myself for all of you. A lot of techniques that I've created, a lot of techniques that are my own creation, foundation for all of you on the channel. And I'm doing it so that you can benefit. Now, hard work goes in everything, and you need to put your own hard work to achieve that level. Time and hard work is something that you cannot skip. There is no shortcut. Remember that. So do it. Do whatever I'm telling you in the videos, because they are curated after a lot of time period that I've given to this particular thing, that is English language, right? So I've curated all these videos because of the background that I have. These videos are not just 1 days of hard work or 1 days of result. No. I'm making a video today, I'm uploading it tomorrow or maybe after 2 days of shooting a particular video, but it does not mean that I have created this particular video today. No, the video is a result of all the years that I have given to myself, to my profession, to my study. It's that. It's just like a surgeon. If you go to a particular surgeon, why do you choose that particular surgeon? Because the person has expertise to do something. It's not like that the person has seen somebody doing a particular surgery in that particular field and then the person is performing it. No, there is years and years of study, years and years of practice, dedication, and after that hard work, a person is achieving that particular status where people are calling that person that yes, he or she is the person we would like to go to. He or she is the person who is an expert in this field. So that is what happens. You have to dedicate yourself to something. And you need to just keep working on yourself. That is what I would say. So today's video was on how to think like an expert, decoding an expert's mind. So I've told you a lot of my stories, my instances, and I think this is going to help you a lot. Now you know the formula through which you can think like an expert, how to think like an expert. Decoding what goes inside the mind is very important. What to do, how this person thinks about English, how this person thinks about the particular language, the language that the person expertise in, and that is very important. Now you know everything. So let's get to work and improve our fluency. That's it for today. That is it. Do like the video before going and share it with your friends. Spread it as much as possible, because I think everyone must know this particular thing, who needs to learn fluency, who needs to learn English, who needs this particular video. The video should reach all those people. So please share the video as much as possible. Please subscribe the channel for more such lessons. Till then, everybody, take care and bye.